All right, today we're going to talk about the incredible journey of a man who didn't just see the world. He took it head on. And he did it with little more than a motor scooter and a whole lot of nerve.
I mean, this quote right here says it all. We are talking about a true pioneer, a Nigerian man who was basically backpacking across continents long before it was even a thing. His is a story of just boundless optimism in a world that, well, wasn't always ready for him.
So who was this man? Olabisi Ajala, a Nigerian journalist who decided, you know what, I'm going to go on a one-man odyssey around the entire globe. And his ride of choice? A simple motor scooter. This wasn't just a trip, you see. It was a statement. It was a way to get a ground-level view of a world that was in the middle of some massive changes.
So how does a journey like this even begin? Let's start at the beginning, with the man and his mission.
Born around 1929, Ajala had a rebellious streak from the get-go. At just 18, he left for America. His mom gave him her blessing, but his dad was dead set against it. He worked his way through multiple universities before, in 1957, he kicked off the global trek that would turn him into a legend.
And think about the sheer guts this took. His uncle gives him £100, the ticket to New York, £98. So he lands in a brand new country with £2 to his name, no connections, and nothing but his own courage to rely on. That takes a special kind of confidence for sure.
And he was crystal clear about his goal. Ajala wasn't some tourist just collecting passport stamps. No, he was a journalist on a mission. He wanted to get inside the minds of the world's most powerful leaders, to understand them not as headlines, but as actual human beings.
So, how did he do it? How did he get access to all these powerful people? Well, his methods were, as he himself put it, unorthodox and suicidal. So, let me ask you this. It is the absolute height of the Cold War. You're a Nigerian journalist on a scooter. How on earth do you get a meeting with the premier of the Soviet Union, Nikita Khrushchev? Any ideas?
Well, here's his approach. During a huge parade, he sees his chance, dashes past the security line, and tries to hand Khrushchev a letter. And what happens? He gets immediately arrested, of course. He was interrogated for 27 hours. But this fearless, totally direct approach, that became his signature move.
Okay, let's try another one. You're in Tehran. You want to interview the Shah of Iran, one of the most powerful monarchs in the world. What's the plan this time?
He just shows up at the palace gates in a suede jacket and blue jeans. Meanwhile, all the other reporters are in white tie and tails. So naturally, he's refused entry, but Ajala doesn't just give up. Oh no. He spends the next 6 weeks methodically working his way through every single government ministry until he finally gets his audience. The man was absolutely relentless. And the list just goes on and on. He met with Nasser in Egypt, Nehru in India, Golda Meir in Israel. I mean, it's a staggering collection, a real who's who of the mid-20th century's most influential figures. He just had this incredible gift for getting in the room where it happened. But his journey wasn't all about meeting powerful people. It was also about the wildly different receptions he got from everyday folks all over the world. You know, he found this profound human connection in the most remote places. In rural India, peasants who couldn't speak a word of his language saw a traveler in need and, without a single question, gave him food and a place to sleep. It was just a beautiful testament to a shared humanity that doesn't need translation. And then, the complete opposite. In the sophisticated clubs of Calcutta, that same shared humanity just vanished. He was barred from entering simply because of the color of his skin. He writes about having to physically muscle his way to a table and demand to be served, all while being threatened with arrest. This jarring contrast, well, it pretty much defined a lot of his travels. And this dual reality was never clearer than when he was in Australia. On one hand, it was this place of incredible welcome. Strangers invited him for beers, he was making friends constantly, and it's where he met his wife, Joanne. But on the other hand, he faced just shocking hostility. He was threatened with knives by a street gang and even interrogated by police who thought he was a notorious serial killer. It was a country of real extremes. You see, traveling by scooter gave him this unique, completely unfiltered view of the world. He wasn't seeing it from 30,000 feet in a plane. He was right there, experiencing it from street level. And what he saw was often just shocking. He described the sight of over 1 million homeless people in Calcutta and Bombay as a living horror. And for him, this wasn't some abstract statistic in a report. It was the reality he was riding his scooter through every single day.
And this ground-level view gave him a really sharp political perspective.
Living through the Cold War, he just refused to get drawn into its black and white thinking. He saw the flaws in both Soviet communism and American-style democracy, and he came to the conclusion that Africa needed to forge its own path, totally free from these ideologies that were being pushed on it.
He also had this incredible foresight. He was traveling through the Middle East right as colonial rule was ending, and he didn't see some simple, easy path to democracy. Instead, he saw the beginnings of a grim cycle of instability and violence that would frankly define the region for decades to come.
So, after all that, what's the lasting impact of this incredible man in his journey? How is he remembered today?
Well, this is his ultimate legacy, and it's amazing. His travels were so legendary that in Nigeria, his name literally became a verb. Ajala now means to travel extensively, to be a globetrotter. The musician Ebenezer Obey made it famous, and now his name is forever woven into the culture, a synonym for the very act of exploration.
This final quote really brings his story home, framing his journey as a kind of challenge to our modern way of thinking. He acted with this boundless optimism that seems almost impossible today, in a world limited by what the author calls a globalization of paranoia. And that leaves us with one final thought. In an age where fear so often guides how we see the world, what can we learn from a man who traveled it with an open heart, a relentless spirit, and this core belief that a conversation was always possible? What can his optimism teach us now?